All right, it's Tuesday night, and I am back after uh, taking the week off due to work duties other than this because I don't get paid for this and I get paid for my big kid job. But works out perfectly. We're now, what, 9 days into the main transfer portal, something like that, and it is Frozen 4 weekend here in St. Paul.
Yeah, dude, there's so much new hockey news going on right now. There's pro signings, transfer portal stuff. Um, the second the biggest tournament of the college hockey year, but the second tournament to be held in St. Paul in the last month. Um, Denver made the return trip. They're trying to win 2 trophies in the same building. Um, Tough task ahead of them, but I think that's the team that the NCHC fans are pulling for, except for maybe the Colorado College fans. But I think at the same point, at least in college hockey, you just want to see your conference bring another championship home. It means you're playing in the best conference in college hockey, even if some recent opinions are that tournaments don't necessarily prove the best teams in a given sport, and there's something to be said for that for sure. But this is how we decide the best team of the year, and the NCHC has a shot at picking up another championship. So
Yeah, and I was a little disappointed with Quinnipiac not being able to make it through just because that would have given 4 out of the 5 conferences a chance at winning it because you would have had Hockey East, Big Ten, NCHC, and ECAC a chance at the title, but unfortunately Quinnipiac couldn't do it. So now we have 2 Hockey East, a Big Ten, and an NCHC school going after the coveted championship. And like you were saying, I mean, outside of Colorado College, even though I'm not a huge fan of rooting for Denver, I still want the conference to get another trophy. Uh, it's not much better than rooting for North Dakota, but it's still better than rooting for North Dakota. So I really hope the Pioneers get it done.
yeah, they play the early game on Thursday. They take on Boston University at 5 p.m. Eastern. Um, these times are so bad. And then Boston College takes on Michigan at 8:30 p.m. That game could potentially be pushed back if Denver and Boston go to overtime. I think maybe not their second game. I know there was quite a few overtime games this year in college hockey. I think I know Denver's first round against Massachusetts went to overtime. I don't think their second game did. No, they won.
Yeah,
They scored in the first and the second period to win 2-1. But Denver's playing really well, 2 1-goal wins. I mean, really everybody's playing well right now. Michigan's on a 2-game winning streak, having lost their conference championship, but picking it up again, beating North Dakota and Michigan State to get to the Frozen Four. I need that page back, you stupid head. Why did you close it? No. All right, yeah, we're real professionals here. BU's played pretty well all year. They've been near the top of the college rankings for quite a bit of it. They had a big win, a couple 6-3 wins actually over RIT and Minnesota.
which I I was happy about.
I watched, which one did I watch? No, it wasn't that one. I don't think I watched any of that one. Did I? No, because I was watching. Maybe I was at the bar. I don't remember because I watched Minnesota Omaha. That was a really good game.
That was a good game, and I you and Brent probably talked about it last week. Um, I thought Omaha really did have a chance in that. Um, I
Oh,
watched
they
as
most certainly
much
did.
of
I
it as
mean,
I could.
They outplayed Minnesota, and literally they had three mistakes. All three mistakes ended up in the back of their net. That was the gist of it. They just couldn't recover from the mistakes. It was bad turnovers in their own zone, misplayed pucks, and away she goes. But no, Omaha played really well. I felt Western played really well in their regional. Unfortunately, a couple bad bounces, one at the end of regulation, and then literally a bad bounce in overtime off of our defenseman's stick to beat Cam Rowe. Michigan, North Dakota was actually a really fun game, even though I was kind of emotionally spent. I did stay and watch that one. Michigan got the win, and then in a rematch from the Big Ten championship, Michigan versus Michigan State, Michigan put up 5 goals to Michigan State's 2 and advances to the second. I think they were in the Frozen Four last year too, so back-to-back Frozen Fours for the Michigan hockey team.
Yep.
They take on BC, who walked over Michigan Tech. That one was close for like half of a second, I think, and then won a close game against Quinnipiac 5-4. So if Boston College and Denver both make it, it'll be a battle of maroon and golds for the championship. Otherwise, there's some other color options that could be at play here. There's also potential for an all Boston championship. There's a chance for the two teams with the most tied for the most national titles at 9 apiece to play for that number 10 and be the first one to get to 10. So actually some pretty interesting storylines depending on how this thing shakes up for the championship game on Saturday. The only thing I don't really like is just how close the game time is. I know 3.5 hours between games, but we've seen overtime games, and it could really push that Michigan Boston College game back. Imagine if this is, I think, the thing that saved the regional the year that UMD and North Dakota went 5 overtimes was that the other team or the other games got canceled, I think, because of a COVID issue. But it really and it might have been the late game. But
no, we were the late game. We were the last game.
yeah, but I don't think UMD ended up playing another game after that. I think too. I think
No, the 5 overtime game we had to play the next day.
Oh, okay. I couldn't
Yeah.
remember. I know somebody's game got canceled and they didn't have to play a game.
That I think it was some team had pulled out because of COVID, but they were still playing it. And UMD played the 5 overtime game against North Dakota. And then the next day they had to play a game. So that's why they went to if you play Thursday, you don't play till Saturday. If you play Friday, you don't play till Sunday or whatever that is.
But either way, like, I don't know. I think there should be more time in between these games or something, or even if they're just played at separate sites. Like, again, we've seen games go into multiple overtimes and it pushed games back. The Michigan North Dakota game got pushed back because then it's even not only do you get pushed back from the overtime period or periods, well, then there's an extra hour on top of that gets pushed back to resurface the ice and make sure that the ice has a chance to resettle and whatever else they're going to do. But there's usually like an hour in between when the last game ends and the next game begins for warm-ups and national anthem and all that jazz too. So, there's a chance that depending on how that game goes, that Michigan Boston, they could freaking start Friday morning for all we know. Like there's
Yeah, and then I don't know what they would do at that point.
Maybe they just postpone it and make them play Friday, but then that team only gets 1 day of rest per se. Like,
yeah, do they push the national championship to Sunday? Like, what do you do? No, there are going to be the fans that are just there for the second game, the second semifinal. So I don't think the bars around town are going to be very upset if it keeps going because they're going to keep making money. And there are plenty of great places right around the XL Energy Center within a block. But yeah, it's kind of interesting we'll see what they do. I guess they're just banking on there not being that 5 overtime game.
Yeah.
They're hoping, if it goes one, fine. Two, we're pushing her a little bit, like we can get away with it. As soon as it goes past two, then they're really starting to sweat her out.
Yeah. So I mean, like I said, that was we were seeing that kind of again with Michigan and or Western Michigan and Michigan State. Like the fans for the North Dakota Michigan game who hadn't been at the first game were starting to trickle in, and you could and players were starting to bunch up in the tunnels to see what was going on with the game. Like, how long is this going to be? How long are we going to wait? Do we keep doing our current little half warm up stuff like the soccer drills, or do we kick it into legit off ice warm ups, or do we start getting dressed? Like all of those things were starting to play into it, and that was just a one overtime game. I think Denver UMass was actually a double overtime game.
Yeah, I
Um,
believe it was.
before Denver finally got the second goal. It was early in the second overtime. Yeah, that was two overtime game. Um, but those are things that like I don't know if they necessarily take into account or if they just expect like we're not going to have that as often. Um, but really, as we see I don't know. It depends. I guess it depends on what the future looks like and if the parity stays where it kind of has been, or if we see this dramatic shift that everyone's kind of predicting because of NIL and the transfer portal and all the other stuff that we've seen. So
Yeah, and that NIL transfer portal, I it may bring the parity, it may not. And actually, I did hear another interesting fact because I'd sent you the clip. There's a hockey podcast. I think I might have brought it up on here before, or it's not even a podcast. It's a radio show on Saturdays in the Twin Cities called Beyond the Pond, and uh, it's the Wild Radio's pre-post intermission host, and then Pat Micheletti, who played for the Gophers. He does Gopher radio. His brother Joe. Anybody that's watching, listening, has probably seen him on national NHL broadcasts. But they were talking with Brad Schlossman from the Grand Forks Herald about the NIL and the transfer portal and how things were going. Uh, and then today, even with the transfer portal, maybe it was yesterday, and I was listening back to it, but they had Pat on a different radio show, and he would not divulge the coaches' names. There were a couple assistant coaches that they had to be separated at the coaches' meetings last year over a player because of the transfer portal and how um, the family advisors are being talked to, because they can't talk to the players, but they can talk to the advisors, which
yeah,
are the agents.
yeah, and I brought that point up before too. Just how much different the college hockey um, world is than other sports, and these agents or advisors or whatever they want to call themselves or whatever we decide to call them, like the role they play. Um, I think the point that Broad brought up that I think sometimes gets lost is that sometimes it's not necessarily a player's choice to go into the portal. Like, yes, there are X number of players, but you know X minus what number of players chose to be there on their own accord, or how many are true high value prospect targets for teams. Um, how many were guys that a school might have tried to recruit and it didn't work out where they are, and they chose their first choice, but their second choice might have been a better fit. Um, how many guys are looking for playing time? How many guys are, the Colorado college situation? The university doesn't offer graduate programs, so a lot of their transfers are in the portal because There's no more education for them to get at Colorado College. There's there's so many more things in it just being I'm going to go play somewhere else cuz I don't want to be here anymore cuz I don't get enough playing time, or I don't want to be here anymore cuz I don't get along with the coach, or it's not always the player's decision, and I think we're missing that piece a lot, but we're also seeing, and it'll be interesting to see, as Brad kind of brought up too, like it'll be interesting to see what the portal looks like in the next few years. This being the last year where we're going to see so many fifth year guys in the portal. Next year, it'll just be, 1 through 4, unless you had a redshirt year or a medical exemption type thing that allowed you to play an extra year. You get 5 years to play 4 again starting next year. So it'll be interesting to see what the numbers look like there, as far as that stuff goes.
And I think one of the points that Micheletti brought up too, where when he was asked about the whole Northern Michigan situation, where they have 13 kids in the portal. Well, say you're the third line center, and 1 and 2 aren't going anywhere, and you hear about this highly touted kid, and he's going to come in. Some kids don't want to compete for their job, and they just want to play. So they're probably going to go out. But that's the other part too. You see a lot of these kids that transfer, they just didn't get any games. And that's fine if you want to transfer just to get playing time. But at the same point,
Playing time is not necessarily guaranteed wherever you're going.
yeah, wherever you're going. But at the same point, if you weren't getting the playing time, you there are 2 reasons for that. One, you just weren't good enough, or 2, you didn't want to compete to earn your spot. That's the way that I look at it. And a lot of these kids,
Well, again, I mean,
they
like, again, we don't know the exact numbers of what drove dudes to the portal. Like I said, there could be
mhm.
a coaching decision where you brought a guy in as a prospect last year, something didn't turn out, and you're like, hey, your best bet is it's not working out here. Your best bet's to jump in the portal and hope you get picked up somewhere else. Like that doesn't mean that kid's not necessarily willing to compete or wants to compete for the job, but his coach is already like, I mean, look at the situation. I'm going to jump sports here, but look at what Deion Sanders did with Colorado football when he got there. He told pretty much the entire team, you guys have sucked for X amount of years. That's why I was hired. Get off my team. Go jump in the portal. Go find another team to play for. You're not playing here. Those types of conversations, granted, probably not as bluntly as I put it just now, but maybe in
No,
some,
that was as bluntly as he put it,
but yeah,
pretty
that
much.
that was pretty much as bluntly as he put it too. But some of those conversations could be happening. Like a guys just didn't meet expectations of what the coach wanted, whether it was how they performed in practice or how they performed in their limited game time. And the coach was like, hey, look, it's not working out. I think you played well for us. We're just looking to go in a different direction. Um, Good luck. Hopefully another team picks you up. But for the guys who are making that decision, like, hey, I don't want to compete with whoever's coming in, or I don't want to be here. Like, it's a big risk. You're losing if you're on scholarship, you're losing that scholarship out the gate. You have to hope that there's a team that wants to pick you up. Like you said, a lot of the guys in the transfer portal haven't played very many, if any, games. Uh, so there's not really extra tape on them for coaches to decide, hey, I need to bring this guy in. There's all these outlying or underlying reasons and stuff. So it's not a clear picture of just this is how many guys are in the portal.
It, yeah, you can look at the numbers, but in general, we're never gonna know why. But I think going back to what you've said and then what Brad said, I think it's gonna be really interesting because of I think Brad's point was that you see a lot of these younger guys transferring that haven't played because the older guys have had that COVID year and they're staying in the program for that extra year. And so the roster spots that these kids were promised or thought they were getting, not even necessarily promised, that they thought they could battle for, these older kids are taking them because they've been in the program and they've earned these spots. So once that COVID year is done after this last go round, what's it going to look like? Because all of a sudden now you're back to where we were in 2019, where, okay, yeah, the kid might, one guy might stay for a fifth year if he can. You know, you have a couple older guys here or there, but you're recruited. You have a lot better shot instead of having the whole damn team coming back for the most part.
Doing some quick math here.
Oh, heaven help us. That's like me saying I'm going to do quick math. It's not going to work out.
That's not what I meant to do. There goes to that, and that.
Carry the 9,
Shut up.
square root of.
Don't talk to me right now. Okay. I was actually literally trying to do exactly fucking carry the 9 and figure out where I was fucking up on my math. Don't. 1, 2. So 101. All right. If my math is right, and these are just quick numbers here, currently, all the players that have entered the portal this year, seniors, which I'm not entirely sure if they're counting both, if, whose is this? Sadie's transfer portal from the Rink Live spreadsheet is lumping all fourth and fifth years together because it does not look like they have a grad student listing. Double check and make sure, but I do not see GRs. No. Okay. Then there's 101 seniors plus fifth years. I'm assuming those are lumped together. I'm going to pretend that they're lumped together for the sake of my mental state. So 101 seniors or higher, 43 juniors, 88 sophomores, and 45 freshmen have entered the portal. So if we say roughly, let's just pretend that the seniors is exactly 100 and roughly 20 to 25% of those are fifth year senior, or gonna be fifth year seniors. So they're fourth year seniors currently. Actually, no, they would all have to be fourth year seniors because if they were a fifth year, they would have graduated.
Yeah, they can't play anymore.
Yeah. So 101 fifth year players are in the portal or players with eligibility left as seniors. I mean, so its total number is, let me just use their total numbers because I don't feel like, oh wait, it was 200 and something. Dumb. 281 total players in the portal. So nearly
Almost half.
over a half. Nearly, no. Almost a
No.
third. Under half. Almost a third. If there's 100 and it's almost 300, it's almost a third.
Yeah.
So almost a third of the players are seniors in the transfer portals. I mean, that number already is going to go down significantly next year. You won't have a third of the players.
Mm-hmm.
And then, it depends on what rules come out as to how many times players can transfer, if that limits it any more or less. Right now, you don't have to sit out a year if you transfer more than once because of an injunction. But the old rule was that you only got one free transfer and then you had to sit out a year if you transferred again. Currently, that's being worked out in court cases, so players can transfer multiple times this year and not have to sit out a year. So, I mean,
And I think, out of those older kids that, seniors and everything that have that year of eligibility left, like a Blake Biondi or um he's just kind of the one that I can think of.
Stay
Um
Skull.
oh yeah, Stay Skull, who just entered today. You know what? You put in your time with the program. I'm okay with that. If you're a freshman and and my I reserve the right to change my opinion, obviously, but I feel like if you're a freshman and you start pouting like, "Oh, I didn't play and I'm going to go somewhere else." Well, then maybe that's on you and you should look at yourself versus the program and the coaching staff. There's you chose this school for a reason. And yeah, they I don't know if it was on Beyond the Pond or if it was um, the other radio show that I listened to. And I mean, these are 16, 17-year-old kids that are choosing to go to college at this school. They might go there and, like you or I, we get to the school and realize it's the wrong fit for us, just in general, overall. Then yeah, you can transfer. But it seems like a lot of these kids are transferring because they aren't getting the playing time that they thought they were because they were used to being the top player where they were beforehand.
I definitely think there are some players who fit that mold for sure. Uh, I just don't. I've kind of changed my mind on this quite a few times, and one of the times being that I've thought about it in the past because even Trevor has mentioned it. Like you just don't get along with the coach sometimes, and it's best for everybody to just end that situation. Or didn't
Mm-hmm.
really think about coaches telling players to enter the transfer portal, but and then this last time I thought about it, and like, why does a hockey player or a football player have less freedoms and rights as a student than the average student does? Like, that shouldn't be the case. Like you should have the freedom to leave basically whenever you want if it's not the right fit or for whatever reason. If I just decided in my second year of college that I was done and over with college, like I'm gonna dip out. No one's gonna tell me I can't. No one's gonna,
Mm-hmm.
I could apply to a different school or I could just not go to a different school. And I could do that as many times as really I felt like it if college was willing to accept my terrible transcript or my lack of finishing classes or whatever the case may be, but I still would have had the freedom to do so. And, you know, I don't bring anything to the university other than my tuition payments. Uh,
And I think I know this was brought up as well, and I think with college athletics, um, the thing that makes the student athletes different now is the NIL money, and I'm pretty sure it was brought up in that show, and I've heard it brought up a few times as well. The NCAA has completely botched this, and the transfer portal needs to be completely separated from the nil money.
there, yes, but I think the thing is our understanding of what the NIL is and what it's meant to be are
Mm-hmm.
vastly different.
Yeah.
And I've stated it multiple times that what it's meant to do is allow players the opportunity to have basically the perfect example is the kid, the YouTuber Destroying, who's now on a UFL team. He was at the University of Central Florida, I believe. He was a kicker. He had a moderately successful YouTube channel. Because he was on the football team and he had earned monetization through YouTube, not doing football related things like playing video games, live streaming, talking, making videos about daily college life experiences or whatever he was doing. The university and the NCAA said you can either continue to play football or and cancel your YouTube channel, or you could keep your YouTube channel, but you're no longer a part of the football team and you have to leave the university. He said, okay, then I quit football for this college and I'm keeping my YouTube channel because it makes money that I don't have any other way of making.
Mm-hmm.
It's meant to allow them, if they're like working at a hockey camp over the summer, to be like, hey, come to this hockey camp. We have Ben Steves is one of the guest coaches this year, or helping
Yeah.
out younger players. Oh, you're in the Kalamazoo area and the player is staying over the summer. Hey, I can totally sell $5 autographs to the local kids around town and have some spending money over the summer. Or, if a video game comes out and I can be paid to be in that video game now. Like,
Yeah.
there is supposed to be a distinct separation between the money you make, whether it's based on your name, image, likeness, or having a job, and your play on the sports field. They're supposed to be separate things. You're not supposed to be paid to play. Like that's why the university is not responsible for handing out money to any single player of any single team. They
Mm-hmm.
have created these, what are they called? Collectives.
Conglomerate, collective.
Collectives.
Yeah. Yep. Yep. Yep.
That
Because
is,
I hear about the gopher one every once in
yes.
a while.
And what the collective is supposed to be, at least how it's described, is that's where local business owners or boosters for the athletic program say, hey, here's an opportunity for either X number of players or uh, X number, or, certain athletes from certain sports. Like, here's an opportunity for you to make X amount of money doing X thing. Or here's how you get in contact with this company to get a sponsorship. Uh, the US, I'm pretty sure the Olympic Committee went through something similar. The Olympics used to be strictly amateur athletes.
Mm-hmm.
You couldn't be paid to play your sport. For the longest time, I don't even think you could accept endorsement deals
I I
because
think
they
it
were
was
sports
like
related.
even when I played, I think it was like you couldn't get paid. I think $500 was the max that you could get for anything
Yeah,
related.
yeah,
Otherwise, as soon as you went to 501, you were considered professional.
yeah. But now you've got pro hockey players. Uh, there's people making millions of dollars on endorsement deals, like Michael Phelps. By the end of his Olympic career, was sponsored by or being paid by like Subway. He had his own swim gear out. He was working with like Nike or whatever. Like,
Mm-hmm.
these are the things that the NIL is supposed to do. It's supposed to make it so, like, if a player really likes Adidas, they can be sponsored by Adidas. Or, granted, now while they're competing, they have to wear whatever the university apparel is, um, because the universities have contracts with apparel companies. Or,
Right.
all the commercials we're now seeing with Caitlin Clark in them for like insurance or whatever. There was I think it was Target had Angel Reese, I think is her name, from LSU, starting
Yep.
last year
Angel Reese.
after the women's Final Four last year. Like, those are the opportunities that are supposed to be created by NIL. It's not supposed to be incentive driven, like stay 4 years at this university and get X amount of money. It's not supposed to be, oh, score 10 goals and we'll give you an extra $1,000. It's just literally supposed to be like, you're a college athlete. I would like you to come stand outside of my car dealership and wave at people and charge them like $5 for an autograph or $10 for an autograph that you keep all the money of.
I think the what it's meant to do to make money is you have to perform, and if you perform well, then you're going to make more money off your name, image, likeness, because you're going to become better, or like more well known. Caitlin Clark, again, perfect example. She's making all this money because she performed phenomenally. Like, she's a great player. Um, but now people are thinking of it as the donors, and if you don't put in this much money, it's like free agency and whatever. And I don't know. I just think the NCAA, they didn't think this through well enough before they put it into place. They were
No,
under
because
pressure.
they didn't want to put it in place. They were forced to do it. It was, and
Well, yeah,
there
they were
were
under pressure, so they panicked. And
literally their last response to anything NIL was, "All right, well, stop making the video game, and then we don't have to deal with this at all." Like, the NCAA said, "EA, stop! You no longer have the rights to make NCAA football
and
because
that was
we're
what, 2014?
yeah, because we're not going to pay the players to be in it. So stop doing it, and we're not going to deal with this." And then some player somewhere sued, and then it's not the NCAA saying or like making these decisions. It's court saying you can't take away rights from the players. Like, they have to be able to do these things because they're rights of average citizens. And then the courts
Where
come in and make them do it.
where I'll fight back is, yes, the NCAA was forced into this NIL, but what they could have done is gone through, said, here we're going to come up with a plan, and by this date, this is going to be our plan, and then we're going to be able to figure out, like, we'll give you an update here, an update here, an update here, and go through a timeline and have a deadline for this plan, versus the way that I feel that it's gone about is, okay, we got to do it. Just here you go. Everybody do that. It feels more rushed than it should have been and less thought out. Where I think people would have accepted it more if they would have said, okay, we understand what you're saying. Give us 2-3 months to come up with a plan. And then after that 2-3 months, we're going to present this plan.
Well, I mean, I don't know that they
And
had 2 or 3 months. Like, they have sports all year round.
I, well, I
I'm not saying that there
not
shouldn't.
not
They
not
should be trying to figure shit out on the
not
back
not
end of anything anyway.
not. I mean, June to August. So you got June, July, and then most of the way through August.
I'm pretty sure
What?
there's something like lacrosse is usually more in the summer. There's some summer soccer.
Not NCAA though, because schools aren't in session.
Schools are in session all year round.
Well, technically yes, but for the majority of undergrads. Maybe the College World Series goes into June, but I don't think so. I I could be wrong. And I'm not counting training and all that stuff. But even so, there is a little bit of a slow period, and my point is you yes, kids are going to get screwed. But at the same time, why create a whole mess for yourself when you can just say, we understand, we know we need to do this. Let's come up with a cohesive plan that makes sense and is not going to set the world on fire. They did not do that. They just said, here you go. That's my issue with it. Like it just didn't seem like there was any process behind what they were doing.
No, and there wasn't. Again, because they didn't want to do it. I don't think they were ever expecting to have to do it.
Well, and that's what I'm saying. You're the NCAA. You can say, okay, like lay out a plan. You're the frickin' NCAA. It, I I just don't understand the fling it out there when you can lay out deadlines, you can lay out a process, you can do whatever. People are going to accept it way more than whatever the hell is going on right now. Because they don't know what's going on. We don't know what's going on. The only people that know what's going on are the kids like Bronny James, because as if he needs his 500 or $5 million for his name, image, likeness, and he might be a second round pick at the best.
Hey, make that money. That money is his money. That other money is his dad's money. His dad's money ain't his money.
No, his daddy's taking care of him.
I mean, he probably is, but I'm just saying. You never heard that phrase? Like, I'm not rich. My parents are rich. I'm not rich. My parents are
No,
not.
no, because usually the kids whose parents are rich are
Actually, it's usually the
they
parents
just
who are
say they're
like, no, no,
rich.
no. I'm rich. You're not rich. It's usually the
Yeah,
parents who are the ones saying it.
the parents will tell their kids that, but the kids are like, I'm rich.
Yeah.
It's like, no.
All right. Well, enough of that nonsense because we know nothing about which we speak. Um,
No.
let's look at actual movements in the NCHC as far as the transfer portal goes. Um, there has been some movement. Colorado College signs Brady Cleveland, a defenseman from Wisconsin, second round pick of the Detroit Red Wings. They still have quite a few guys in the portal who have yet to be picked up by teams. Those who have been: Chase Foley signs with St. Thomas. Danny Waite signs with AIC. Ray Christie signs with St. Thomas. Nicholas Andrews signs with Michigan State. Will Logan, their captain for the last couple of years, signs with Providence. Uh, Denver gets Eric Polkamp, freshman defenseman from Bemidji State. They have not had anyone enter the portal yet because they're still playing. Miami adds Christopher Fillion from Quinnipiac. They have yet to have somebody transfer somewhere else as of yet of the players they had in the portal. Robbie Drasner is the most recent. He entered the portal yesterday. Minnesota Duluth has yet to sign anybody out of the portal. Zach Stackel entered the portal today. So far, Blake Biondi is the only one to commit to a new school, that being Notre Dame.
Fourth round pick of the
Montreal
Canadiens.
Canadiens. Kind of surprising that Kyler Clevin hasn't committed somewhere yet. I figured he'd be kind of a touted player. All three players from Omaha have committed. Ray Fust going to Clarkson, Michael Abgrail going to Holy Cross, Joe LeMay going to Northeastern. We're hearing from Brent that Joe LeMay just wanted to be closer to family, and that's why he went out east. He being a fourth round draft pick of Washington.
Which that's a fair reason.
Yeah. North Dakota once again has, signed the most players out of the transfer so far, it only being 3, but they are still far and ahead. The most active as far as pulling players from the portal so far. The defenseman from Alaska, Caleb McDonald. Goaltender TJ Stempenfelter from Arizona State. He also played at Northeastern. And most recently, nope. And their first, I don't know when they signed them, but in the portal, the longest, Carter Willicke, junior forward from RIT. RIT's leading goal scorer. The 2 players that they had go into the portal have yet to transfer, one being a 6th round pick of Carolina, and the other, Michael Emerson, being that player, and Nate. I don't think it said that way.
Benoit.
I don't think so. It usually has 2 ends, but maybe. But
no, and yeah, I think it's Benoit.
I've seen it both ways. Yeah, we'll say Nate Benoit, freshman defenseman, 6th round pick of Minnesota. St. Cloud, Dominic Bassi transferring to St. Lawrence. Joe Molinar has yet to sign with somebody else. They have not brought anyone into the transfer portal.
And I think just for St. Cloud, I think that says something about their program. Both seniors, Bassi kind of lost the net, but and wants to get the playing time. And then Molinar, he's kind of been a staple. I think he just wants to play a little more because I don't know if he necessarily is going to, maybe St. Cloud doesn't have the grad program he wants, and he just wants to keep playing for one more year.
They have put quite a few guys into the pros this year too, so.
Mm-hmm.
And then Western Michigan, 3 guys into the portal so far. Jacob Napier will transfer to Colgate. I think I just saw that Dawson Smith listed somewhere as having
he's in that spreadsheet. He's in the middle, or that he signed somewhere.
Yeah. RMU.
Oh, Robert Morris.
He is transferred to Robert Morris University. Oh, actually, Kyler Clevin has transferred to Niagara, according to Brad Elliott Schlossman. I knew I had seen it somewhere.
Nice putting his middle name in there.
I mean, that's how he is on Twitter, and that's what I was looking at. So that's how I read things. All the words kind of makes the context better when you read all of the words around something.
It also helps when somebody includes all of the words.
I think all the words were included. You just didn't realize that I think of anything in a text message thread as fair game to respond back to at any given time, whether I respond directly to that last message or not. So there. If it's in the text thread, it can be brought back up at any time. And those are the rules. Them's the rules. Even if you asked a question 3 years ago about which underwear I was choosing to wear today, I will go back and I will respond to that question without replying to that question.
I'd be more concerned about why I was asking what underwear you were wearing.
I would be too, but not going to stop me from.
I'm concerned why that's. I'm concerned why that's where your mind went. Why I would even be asking. But anyway,
maybe you're in.
Moving on. Moving on.
In the market for new underwear choices. I don't know.
Moving on.
Tastes change over the years.
All right.
I
think the last thing we have is just picking who wins which games, the semifinals and finals. Not that we really know anything about any of the other teams outside of Denver.
Oh, I got it. I honestly don't care. What is that?
What
Oh,
are you doing? For the love of God,
I've gotten distracted, and this is
focus.
nah. This is how little. I mean, my team's out. I was emotionally damaged for multiple days. That's a piece of metal. Um, so I really I don't even know if I'm gonna watch. I probably will
I'll watch Denver.
because I'll be at the bar and I'll put them on something. I'll make them watch at the bar while I check IDs. But as far as like I have no rooting interest.
I Mine is I'll watch Denver. Um, if Denver loses to BU, then I'm out. Um, I am a little curious to watch the Celebrini kid because when he was on TV, I was getting my hair cut, so I didn't really get to watch him. But other than that, yeah, I I was hoping to have a reason to go to the X. I just don't. I'm gonna save the money and watch it on TV. Uh, I'm just gonna say BC Denver and then go Denver.
Yeah, sounds good enough. Um, I'll just. I think that's kind of what I said last week with Brent. Double check my notes. Yeah, physical notes. Oh, I didn't actually write it down. Okay. Yeah, Denver over BU and BC over Michigan. It's going to be a battle for the maroon and golds.
Yeah,
Actually, you know what? No. For the storyline, it's going to be both teams with 9 national titles, but Denver gets their 10th first because I feel like that's more damaging to Michigan, and that feels funnier to me.
it would be funnier for you.
So, yep, that's my pick. Oh, where'd it go? Oh, okay. I need to throw that away and not step on it later. So we're gonna put that right there.
You're like Doug from Up.
I'm not saying that I'm not on the spectrum because I haven't been tested.
But you're not
Uh,
denying it.
but I'm not saying there's not a possibility that I might need to be tested. That's what I'm saying. But it's okay.
I will still love you either way, even though you said you hated me earlier today.
Yeah, nope, stand by those feelings. Um anything else?
I don't think so. Coming into last weekend of the college hockey season, and then just transfer portal stuff and sad loneliness
Um
until school starts back up again, I guess.
it is a ways out, but there will be no show May 7th. I will be out of town. So, in a month from now.
Yeah, you're probably gonna have to tell me
Well, I will
on the
make it
6th or the
known
7th.
more so. I will also make it known on like April 30th and probably even before then. I'll probably reference it like every week from here until then. But May 7th, I will not be at home.
Again, you're still
Um,
gonna need to remind me like the day before.
Nah, you'll figure it out when there's no invite for a Zoom meeting sent to you.
Yeah, fair enough.
Um, I think that's it. We need to reach back out to that person again.
Yep,
Um,
I was just thinking about that.
I can't wait for the off season to fully get here, including all the other leagues, because I can reach out to some other folks. One that's already agreed. I just need their hockey season to end. And Miami's new coach had a press conference. It was interesting to say the least. Go check that out at the NCHChockey.com. He seems like an interesting guy. Is all I'll say to that. Sandlin has made some interesting remarks involving the transfer portal. You can check those out at Bruce Siski's blog, wherever that is. I know he's mentioned it on Twitter a few times in some of the quotes.
Yeah, and he probably has brought it up on the Bruce Siski show as well.
Check those out. Brent does his Nacho hockey talk on Spotify. I'm not sure when he has episodes come out. I think he just kind of does it whenever he feels like it. They're all pretty short. They're like 10 minutes. He answers like a question or something. There's plenty of places to get hockey news and information that are way better than this place. So if you do decide to stick around and hang out and enjoyed what we did for whatever reason that you did so, there's a like button, a follow button, a subscribe. Nope, there's no follow button. It's a subscribe button on YouTube. There's a follow button on Twitter. So you can follow the page on Twitter or us individually. Our individual Twitter handles have been under our pictures the entire episode. The page, the pod, Twitter handle, whatever you want to call this, that one is scrolling down on the bottom the whole time. You know, this is a lot to remember, Michael, and I would appreciate you not making silly faces while I try to do this. It's scrolling along right now. I'm not going to read it out because there's some letters missing, and clearly I'm having struggles talking anyway. There's also an email. It's all the words with all the letters squished together into one big long one of goalhornsandfightsongs@gmail.com. So if you want to get a hold of us, those are the places to do so. I think that's it. Is there anything else that I may or may not have forgotten? There's a comment section. You can leave a comment saying that we're big dumb dummies if you wish.
Which is probably accurate, but
I get to the comment section eventually, sometimes when I feel like it or when I remember to check it. Mike has never been in there, so I have that going for me. And
probably for the best.
Anything else? Anything else? Anything else?
I don't think so. I have a dog giving me a side eye, looking like she's gonna do something that she shouldn't do.
All right. Well, then, I think that'll do it. I think there's only one thing left to say, and that's Pucks on Net. Good things happen. Like Goal Horns and Fight Songs. Until the next episode, which is currently scheduled for next Tuesday, and we will be here. When Michael gets here, I don't know. He's usually late. But the next one should be next Tuesday. So until then,